All right, guys, welcome to the show. We are talking about the top 10 sleepers for fantasy football 2024. This is the very early list. Now, when I say early, this is March. It is mid-March. So if you are listening to this in August and you come across this video, understand this is the early list, but I've done some digging. This was not easy to find these sleepers because there's so many people that could be considered sleepers. I mean, you could say Zamir White's a sleeper, but you got to look at where he was drafted. He wasn't a first or second round pick. I took a look at some of the guys that were relatively high draft capital picks on their team that are in a position to succeed. Again, this is all pre-NFL draft, okay? This is very important that I emphasize that because once the NFL draft happens, that's when you know where the rookies are falling and everything kind of situates and free agency moves, right? A lot of changes, a lot of shifts, a lot of moves. But I want to get out this content because fantasy football doesn't end here on the channel. We go year round. I wanted to give you guys some valuable content. Now, stay to the end because I've got three. The last three are going to be rookies. Now, we don't know where they're going to land yet, but that's what makes it exciting is that there is some uncertainty, but I'm basing it based on talent. Based on talent, these guys can be in a great position to succeed and can be immediate fantasy contributors. So top 10 sleepers, including 3 rookies, bonus rookies here that I've got for you at the end. So the last 3 are going to be, they're going to be not bonus 3, but you're going to get 10. The last 3 are going to be rookies. Okay. So again, I'm excited to dive into this, man. I know fantasy football, it's off season, but we're here. And if you're here, smash thumbs up, turn on that bell. Going to be doing live shows. I decided we're going to do them in the evenings. I think evenings works best, 8:30 Eastern, and I'm going to probably start ramping them up around April once the NFL draft comes in and starts picking up. March is kind of laying out all the details. So we're going to start doing the lives, okay? So we're going to have a morning show, probably going to be released around 11 in the morning, right? And then you're going to get your evening show, the lives. That's going to be amazing. So 2 shows a day, man. That's like 10 shows a week. It's going to be wild. So smash thumbs up. Very important. You hit the Lions thumbs up and you subscribe and grab the 16-round draft so you can pre-order it right now. The first version, the first video, my first release on all the optimal players drafted in each round is going to come out early May, right after the draft. But you can pre-order right now. Get in for the lowest price. Use code SMASH to save and secure your ticket to the summit upon checkout. The Fantasy Sports Summit. We're going to have NFL players mock draft. You're automatically entered for a PS5 giveaway. It's going to be a virtual conference. It's going to be amazing. So make sure you guys secure your ticket there as well. All linked below, guys. Under 16 rounds. You can get the combo. I recommend getting the combo, 16 rounds and the solution, and 16-round solution and the summit, okay? All right, let's go through this, guys. Top 10 sleepers for 2024. Let's start off with the first one here. I got a mix here. I actually didn't put in a tight end, but you're going to hear, I'm going to drop in some golden nuggets here for you with the tight end position. We're going to talk about it. So we're going to start off with the quarterback here that I think is going to be immense value, sitting number 13th. Now, I just look at the consensus rankings as a guideline of what not to do because they're going to copy and paste rankings. It's pretty much a, verbal or like a written diarrhea, garbage, vomit thing of last year. It's really copy and paste. So it's really just garbage is what it is. So I take last year's top finishes. I take a look who finished on top, how the consensus have it laid out, and then I'm able to spot and pick these sleepers. And that's how I formulate 16 rounds on what not to do. Last year, everybody told you Austin Eckler round 1, Tony Pollard. And I'm going to use those guys as an example. And I'm going to use Sam Laporta as an example. Sam Laporta was 21st amongst tight ends. I'm like, dude, that's a value there. I looked at the situation, looked at the quarterback, looked at the volume, looked at everything, looked at the history of Goff to tight ends, looked at all the scenarios, looked at the talent, and then determined that he's going to be great. And I picked him up. I looked at Eckler. Coming off a pinnacle year, he was never that great, was in a situation, different offensive coordinator. Boom, right? Tony Pollard, years to wow us, we're not wow, was always a backup, stayed a backup. I didn't trust him. Looked at that. I look at all the variables. That's why I formulated 16 rounds. That's why I'm telling you 16 rounds is the truth, right? So you guys have to secure it. But when I look at these sleepers, I look at the situation, look at the scenario. Again, it is early, but I'm just giving you guys some context. The first guy I want to talk about is Jordan Love, okay? Now, again, going back to the consensus rankings, sitting 13th. Again, they're just copying and pasting. Mind you, in this case, it's not much of a copy and paste because he actually finished 5th last year. The problem with the consensus is they have biases to certain players based on, a year or two. So sometimes it is copy and paste, but sometimes there is a couple of these deviances. In this case, Jordan Love is that one which is amazing. Now, I'm not saying he's going to finish top 5 because he finished on 5 last year. What I'm saying is that you can get him for value. So I look where the value is. So this is really cool. He was not copied and pasted. So I'm going to take advantage of that. So most of their, and again, not all their stuff is copied and pasted, but a majority, 95% is. Jordan Love finished 5th last year amongst quarterbacks, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. There's a ton of opportunity for Jordan Love to succeed. Over 4,000 yards, 96, just over 96 passer rating. This guy was a first-round pick, and his receivers look solid. Jaden Reed took a step up last year. Romeo Doubs, which we'll talk about in a second. So when I look at a guy like Jordan Love, he is quarterback 13 because they love guys like Hurts and Allen and Mahomes, and they love pumping up guys like Anthony Richardson who are running upside quarterbacks. Jordan Love kind of gets put to the wayside here, pushed to the side, but I'm seeing the value. I'm seeing the talent. I'm seeing the opportunity on a team that it can be playoff bound. I think they got to work on their running back situation, but I'm seeing Jordan Love right now as value, sitting 13th amongst quarterbacks, which means he can still be an ace quarterback based on where he finished last year and the talent, the upside, and all these offensive weapons. It's just that you're getting him for a better value. You got to find the value. Like last year, I told you, Goff is an immense value. Boom. CJ Stroud, immense value. Jordan Love last year was a value as well. So you got to take a look at the scenario. Yes, he doesn't have the running upside of a Lamar Jackson or an Anthony Richardson, but you're going to still get fantasy production. A 32-11 touchdown interception ratio isn't bad for a guy who's only going to get better. So Jordan Love, sleeper, that's my first guy. I think he's a top sleeper at the quarterback position based on value, and you still anchor your team with an ace quarterback. Again, this is early, just having a discussion here with you guys, okay? Which leads into number 2. I'm going to give you a bonus one here, is Jaden Reed. Now, Jaden Reed was a second-round pick, okay, going into his second year, 5'11", right, 187 pounds, not the biggest receiver, but what I like about him is they actually used him in the run game, right? He had 11 attempts or something like that, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 94 targets compared to 96 with Romeo Doubs. Christian Watson was banged up last year. He can be the one, but who knows? But Jordan Reed right now is sitting 37th amongst wide receivers, okay? Romeo Doubs, 50. Now, I'm going to package these two guys as number 2, and I'm giving you a bonus. Now, you're saying, well, Joe, we're not sure who the 1 is. But that's great. That's fine. We weren't sure last year who the 1 was with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. And we kind of still don't know who the number 1 is with Tank Dell and Nico Collins. But the point I'm trying to say is that these guys are immense value. 37 amongst wide receivers for Reed, 50 for Doubs. And you're potentially getting the wide receiver 1 on the team on a quarterback that did relatively solid. Finished as a top 5 quarterback last year. Again, we just talked about it. 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Not a bad ratio for a young quarterback, right? So when I look at Jaden Reed, I'm seeing a guy they invested high draft capital in him. I'm seeing a guy who's got rapport with this quarterback, a guy that they do use around the goal line, even in some plays where they can, run him out to the outside and get him a rushing touchdown. He had 8 touchdowns last year, 94 targets, 64 receptions. Jaden Reed has all of the tools and the heart and the elements to make him a solid fantasy football contributor. Is he going to be a top 10 wide receiver? Very possible, but very unlikely. But what I'm saying is that I can get him for immense value. People are sleeping on him, and he's going to be a constant and consistent producer every week. Now, talking about Doubs, I talked about 2-for-1 combo. He's 6'2", 204, a little bit bigger, was drafted in the 4th round the year before. So they believed in Watson being the one, didn't really happen, can't stay healthy. Doubs stepped up in the playoffs last year, which was something that I really observed. He was the top go-to guy, which can show signs that he can be the one on the Packers with all that rapport and the trust of Jordan Love. So these guys, you can get both of them. It depends. You load up on your running back, get an ace wide receiver relatively early, and you stack these two. Now you're almost guaranteeing yourself a wide receiver 1. Now you've got the question mark of hey man, now we could possibly have split distribution between 3 wide receivers. It's very possible. But for the value you're getting them, you're rolling the dice on a potential wide receiver 1 that could emerge as a top guy. I'm willing to roll the dice, but we got to see what the ADPs are exactly. But right now, immense value. Number 3 here. Let's move on here. Again, if you're new to the channel, smash thumbs up. Make sure you stay to the end. Again, I'm going to be talking about 3 rookies I really like. But again, smash thumbs up and drop a sleeper below. I want to make this interactive. Drop a sleeper below. All right. Quick shot of water there. All right, guys. All right. Let's keep going. Again, I want to hear your sleepers. So Number 3 is Tajay Spears. At the time of this recording, I'm sure maybe you're going to hear if you're watching this in like July, Henry's definitely moved. By the time of this recording, it's almost certain that Henry is going to be gone. Now, Tajay Spears was a 3rd-round pick, which means they pretty much drafted him to be the replacement for Derrick Henry. You don't draft a running back in the 3rd round. 4th round and after, it's more of like an accessory, right? I hate to say it, but 4th round running backs, very unlikely they're going to be the starter. It happens. We saw Kyron Williams do well, right? I think he was 5th round. But Tajay Spears, right? It's a guy 100 attempts last year, 453 yards, 4.5 yards per carry compared to around 4.2 for Henry. He actually yard per carried Derrick Henry, if that makes sense, right? 2 touchdowns, got 70 targets for 52 receptions and a touchdown receiving. Understand, he was in a situation where you've got the biggest workhorse in NFL, period, in Derrick Henry, and he still managed to get 100 attempts. With Henry gone, which he will be, that frees up 280 targets. Now, I assume that the Titans are going to bring in a veteran, and I always use Melvin Gordon as an example. He's not very good, but they might bring in someone like a Melvin Gordon or like a Kareem Hunt. I'm just throwing out names here. Guys that like are way on the downslope of their career, and they're going to make Tajay the starter because he's the young dynamic guy, and he's very capable, and I like him a lot. And he's sitting 17th amongst running backs right now on the Sheep's, the consensus rankings. That's going to go up significantly. And by the way, Tajay Spears actually coming to the Fantasy Sports Summit. He's going to be there. So secure your tickets below. He's going to actually be there. And I always look for those upside guys. So you get to have an opportunity to ask him some questions. It's going to be really cool. So secure your ticket to the summit. But Tajay Spears in a great position to succeed. Tons of upside. And again, maybe they draft another rookie in there, but I don't see it because they invested 3rd round in him. But love the upside, love the opportunity. Tajay Spears this year. Boom type upside, big time sleeper. And again, look for his ADP to shoot up as soon as Henry moves on. Okay. Number 4 here was a major sleeper this guy last year. Love him, sitting as wide receiver 25, which I think is still good value because Nico Collins is going to be valued ahead of him. But the guy I'm talking about is Tank Dell. Love the upside, love the talent. Now, he got hurt, but let me give you guys a quick stat here. Weeks 9 through 11, because he got hurt near the end of the season, right? His leg, 35 targets in 3 games. Okay? This is just giving me a perspective that this guy can be the one on his team. He's young. He's dynamic. CJ Stroud asked him to show up on the team, like to be drafted, sorry. And again, in those 3 games, 35 targets and 4 touchdowns in 3 games. Look it up. Week 9 to 11. He was a 3rd round pick. The talent is there. The youth is there. 709 yards, 7 touchdowns last year, 47 receptions in 11 games. So again, CJ Stroud was just kind of getting into his own. He's getting into his element. He looked good. He looks talented. He looks like he is the real deal. And Tank Dell is that guy that's going to be the man. Now, I like Nico Collins. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just looking at some news here. At the time of this recording, T. Higgins just requested a trade. T. Higgins, another guy that Sheeps has told you guys to draft in the 2nd round. I told you don't do it last year. Anyway, long story short, I get breaking news all over. I got screens. I got phones here. But back to Tank Dell. Listen, I love him. Love the talent. He can be the one. And again, you're in that situation where you still don't know who the one is, but you're getting that value at wide receiver. So imagine you get Tank Dell and Jaden Reed later, and they're the clear-cut ones to 2 really solid up-and-coming quarterbacks. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, guys. There's a ton of value at the wide receiver position where I don't got to spend a 1st round pick. And last year, people did it with guys like Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams. And how'd that work out for you? T. Higgins round 2. Guys, if you're going to spend a pick on a wide receiver 2, definitely don't do it in the 2nd round. And they continue to do this with you. With this year, it's going to be like Ayuk and Debo, and they're going to do it with like Waddle. Like, dudes, like, yeah, these guys can be productive, but like, why spend a 2nd round when I'm getting way more value later with a potential wide receiver 2, right? And that can be a wide receiver 1. Does that make sense, guys? I use logic, I use common sense, I use practicality, and I do the work for you. Like, I do the thinking because I live and breathe this stuff. Now, you guys do work too as well. You can think about this as well, and I encourage you guys to do your own thinking. But I live and breathe this stuff, and I analyze, I look, and I spend too much time on this. It's a long story, okay? More breaking news here. Yeah, so yeah, Higgins wants out of the Bengals at the time of this recording. It's mid-March. Okay, let's keep going. Number 5 here, okay? The guy I like is Drake London. Now, I was high on him last year as a value wide receiver, but my mistake, and I learn as I go, that the quarterback, and I knew this before, but I just kind of took a chance on it anyway, hoping that something would happen. But Desmond Ridder sucks. 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions for Desmond Ridder last year. Absolutely terrible. Listen, Drake London was a first-round pick back in 2022. He's sitting at wide receiver 27 right now amongst Sheeps's. The guy still had just under 1,000 yards receiving, 905. He had a couple touchdowns, but that's definitely going to go up. And by the way, inside info, not really inside, but extra bonus here, Kyle Pitts. Another guy could also go up next year. But listen, Drake London is my sleeper 5. Value 27 amongst wide receivers, copied and pasted pretty much. And a guy that's they're going to improve that quarterback situation. There's rumblings of Kirk Cousins. I get my Cousins and my Kirks all confused. Kirk Cousins may end up there. I don't know. But they got to address this quarterback situation. Whether they draft a rookie that has some upside or whatever, they bring in someone else. They need to do something here to fix this Desmond Ridder situation. That's what they're going to address. They got running back locked down. They got tight end. They got wide receiver locked down. Now it's like, okay, let's fix our quarterback situation. And when they do that, Drake London gets a huge boost. So keep your eye out for Drake London. The talent is there. It's just that he hasn't had the opportunity with a good quarterback. It's bad quarterback play, all right? So that's number 5. Number 6, again, speaking of bad quarterback play, George Pickens is number 6, who's sitting as wide receiver 38th. He was a second-round pick in 2022. As you can tell, guys, the guys I'm talking about are young, are upside guys, are high draft capital guys on their team, and are value. So when you are looking at a sleeper, you got to look at the talent. You got to look at the opportunity. You got to look at the youth. You got to look at the scenario. You got to look at who's throwing the ball. And at the time of this recording yesterday, it was announced that Russell Wilson is going to be the quarterback for the Steelers. This is good. This is really good because Russell Wilson can produce can be a top quarterback who could be a sleeper in his own right. But I think the whole offense here with the Steelers gets a boost. Denver didn't work out, but mind you, he made Sutton a pretty viable wide receiver last year. So Pickens is a guy. Now there's talk about Deontay Johnson being shipped off. Again, NFL free agency in the works. That's why I'm telling you it's early. But George Pickens can be in a position where he can succeed. The guy had over 1,000 yards receiving with crappy quarterback play. He had 1,140 yards, 5 touchdowns, 106 targets for 63 receptions. He had Mason Rudolph throwing the ball, Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, all guys that suck. Russell Wilson is a veteran who could run an offense, who could really kind of boost up this offense. It definitely needs it right now. By the way, another bonus for you, Pat Freiermuth, another sleeper. So it kind of goes hand in hand. Once you improve the quarterback, once things move, once guys slide up the depth chart, that quarterback's in, the whole system changes and it makes it more fantasy relevant. Now there's more upside for Jaylen Warren in the passing game. Dude, this is going to be exciting. A little more exciting to watch the Steelers next year. I think it's a smart move by the Steelers, bringing in a veteran until they kind of figure out their franchise quarterback. Russell Wilson will do fine for the next couple of years. But George Pickens is the guy I'm talking about, number 6. Now, again, smash thumbs up, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think, okay? Let's keep moving along here. Number 7, not too excited about this guy, but the opportunity is there. He's a first-round pick for the Ravens. But the guy I'm talking about is Zay Flowers, okay? Now, Zay Flowers, 858 yards last year, but he was a top guy there. I mean, Odell, Aguilar, all these guys are washed up. I don't want to spend too much time on it other than tell you that, like, for example, George Pickens was 38. Zay Flowers, number 29 amongst wide receivers, and he can and should be and was the wide receiver 1 in his team. Right now, I don't think Lamar throws for a lot, but either way, Zay Flowers is the man, and he's going to get work. He's going to get targets. He's going to eat, and you can get him for value sitting at, again, number 29 amongst wide receivers, okay? Zay Flowers, there you go, a sleeper for you. Now, 3 rookies here. Now, it depends on where they land. That is key. That is key here. But the first rookie I wanted to talk about has tons of upside. He's a top prospect at the running back position. There's Jonathan Brooks, who's coming off an injury. There's other guys. But the guy I'm talking about is Trey Benson. Trey Benson is big. He's explosive. He's got great vision. He's out of Florida, and he's the second coming of Dalvin Cook, but probably even better. Very strong, okay? 5'11", 195 pounds, 21 years old, prototypical running back out of Florida. Now, his receptions could be higher last year, 20 receptions, but we want to see that higher. Now, he wasn't used a lot. Like, he didn't get 600 attempts or nothing like that in college. So they're saying there's a lot of tread on the tire left. 156 attempts, 906 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, 14 touchdowns last year in college out of Florida. And again, ran a 4.39, very impressive at the combine. So again, vision, explosiveness, ability to shift, has that home run speed. So I would love to see him on the Cowboys because Pollard is not the solution. Pollard already come out and saying that he's ready to take a pay cut. I would love to see Trey Benson on the Dallas Cowboys as the starter. Love him. And I'm working to get him locked up for the Fantasy Sports Summit as well. So Trey Benson, exciting stuff, man. Love the upside. Let me know what you guys think below. Got him at 8, big time sleeper. Again, I wanted to give in 3 rookies here, and there's more. There's Marvin Harrison. There's other guys, but these are just 3 guys that jumped out at me immediately. Okay. Number 9 here is Malik Neighbors, 6 foot, 200 pounds, explosive, smooth route runner out of LSU. LSU, produces top wide receivers throughout the years. 1,569 yards, 14 touchdowns last year. Again, great hands, smooth route runner. Explosive, quick off the line. Now, again, he's not going to be like a Marvin Harrison Jr. when he's like fighting for the ball in the air. Harrison's got that edge, on the 50-50 balls, but Malik Neighbors is still going to be a solid contributor. And I think he's going to be drafted a little bit later, so he may end up on a better team. Like, I don't like, Harrison could be good, but I don't really like him on Arizona, who's going to be getting a top pick early, or on the Bears, which we don't know the quarterback situation. So Malik could actually end up with a good quarterback if the later he falls. Even like a guy that Xavier Worthy, who just broke the record, there's talk about him being on the Chiefs, and I think they get like the last pick or something in the first round or something, 32nd pick or something like that. But when you look at the Chiefs, maybe they get somebody good. So again, Malik Neighbors, tons of upside, tons of talent, depending on his landing spot, could be solid. Got him at number 9. And the last one is Blake Corum. Blake Corum, guys, tons of upside out of Michigan. There's talk about him ending up on the Chargers because of that relationship, guys, with Harbaugh. So Blake Corum, I like him. He's a little short, 5'8", 213. That's what people say he's short. That's kind of the bad stigma to him. But you know what? Low center of gravity, very strong, but he has a lot of tread off the tires. 600 plus attempts, 674 attempts in his college career. So he's put on a lot of, a lot of miles, but it only ran a 4.53. Again, getting knocked for that as well. But he's got the capabilities, man. He can catch the ball. He's, very shifty, quick off the line as well. Even though the 4.53 doesn't show it, still very solid from what the college tape that I saw. And, the pitches to the outside, running to the outside very well. Nose for the end zone. Again, 258 attempts last year, 1,245 yards, 4.8 yards per carry. And he broke the rushing touchdown in Michigan, 27 touchdowns in a year. Guys, there's a ton of upside. Again, the only knocks are that he's short and he's 23, which is BS. The guy could be really solid. And if he ends up on the Chargers, that could be a really good home as a major upgrade and a replacement with youth, talent, and ability to Austin Eckler. I think he could be a plug and play on the Chargers, especially when they're improving that team this year, might improve the O-line, receivers, stuff like that. Because I think Keenan Allen and Williams, this should be on their way out. This is getting old. These guys are old, right? So Blake Corum, keep him on your radar. Watch it for fantasy. Could be amazing value. Now look for these guys to go up the charts as soon as we find their landing spots, all right? So top 10 fantasy football sleepers 2024, the early list with 3 rookie bonuses there for you. Guys, keep these guys on your radar when you're drafting. Keep them in the back of your mind. I'm lay this all out in 16 rounds, exactly where to get them, and more sleepers, more breakouts, and more late rounds deals so you can find this year's Laporta and so much more. Grab 16 rounds, use code SMASH to save. Linked it below. Drop a sleeper below. Hit the thumbs up. We're going hard all year round. Subscribe. Guys, hope you guys enjoyed the show. It's never too early to talk fantasy. Lion mentality, no sheep here. We'll talk soon, guys.